What's up everyone, welcome back to Seiya Awakening. It's a new week, new banner, and one of the most hyped up units is finally available. Ever since this guy came out in the test server in China, there's been massive hype surrounding him. He's finally available here on Global. His banner will be available for 2 weeks, though the counter for the summoning event does reset after 1 week. Keep that in mind. If you're close to a really high level, you might want to finish it before it resets next Wednesday. His training event is also open for 2 weeks, which is great news because this is a saint that we're going to want to skill up. We can take full advantage of the training event and not feel like we're wasting any tomes. Let's go ahead and get started because even though he's not a super complicated saint, he does have some really interesting mechanics. GEMINI KANON is a Cosmo-type attacker with a really high damage potential. He also has one of these unique mechanics that allow him to stack up a certain buff during battle. Just like Shiryu stacks up dragons and Nebular Shun stacks up, I don't know, whatever the heck they are, farts, GEMINI KANON can stack determination. The maximum we can have at any point is 20, and this determination does not go away at any point in the battle, meaning that it can't be removed, he doesn't lose it when he uses skills, it's always there. Once you stack it, it stays until the end of the battle, so let's see how that affects all of his skills. The first one is a simple Cosmo-type individual attack. It starts with a multiplier of 80%, can go up to 100, but it also receives additional damage depending on how much determination we have stacked. It starts at 3% extra damage per determination and can go all the way up to 15. And remember that we can stack up to 20, so the multiplier can actually reach some ridiculous levels here on the first skill. Does that mean we're gonna power it all the way up? Not necessary. Let's keep going. His Galaxy Explosion Hidden is the skill that we're gonna use to annihilate the enemy. This thing does damage twice. First, it does a Cosmo type damage, starts at 250%, can go all the way up to 330, but it then does additional true damage. Remember, true damage is the one that's not cosmic, it's not physical, it ignores the enemy defense, and it can even help kill the twins enshrined because it's not cosmic or physical. It's not a terribly complicated skill, it does damage twice, but then Kanon becomes hidden. He automatically hides himself after using this attack, which means that individual attackers cannot target him. He's still susceptible to AoE attacks, or for example Milo, who attacks somebody randomly, but he cannot be targeted individually. The only exception is Mew. Remember that Mew doesn't care whether it's Aphrodite's shyness or this type of hiding, it doesn't matter. Mew can still target you. Lastly, whenever he uses this attack, he also gets 3 stacks of determination. Not too complicated so far, but let's go to Gemini Phantom Shadow. And this is where things start to get really crazy. This skill, which is the first of his 2 passives, allows Kanon to create a shadow, a copy of himself that stands right behind him, and this happens automatically on Kanon's very first turn. You don't have to use a skill, the shadow's gonna pop up and stay there for the rest of the battle. It cannot be targeted, so it can't be killed. That shadow will inherit all of Kanon's Cosmo attack and Cosmo damage, so it can do the exact same amount of damage that Kanon can. When it's created, it also creates some energy. At only level 3, we start generating energy passively on Kanon's first move, 1 energy on level 3, 2 energy on level 4, and 3 energy on level 5. The shadow will attack with the exact same skill that Kanon attacks with, so if it's the first skill he's gonna hit with this, if Kanon uses the Galaxy Explosion, the shadow will do so as well. And it has a chance to attack additional times depending on how much determination we have. It starts at only 1 additional attack, but on level 2, once we reach 10 stacks of determination, it will do 2 attacks. On level 3, it will do 2 attacks, but we only need to reach 5 determination. On 4, it goes up to 3 attacks with 5 stacks, and on level 5, this thing will attack a maximum of 4 additional times if we reach that maximum of 20 determination. With the skill ups, the energy generation goes up as well, which means that if we have it at max level and we gain 3 energy at the start of our move, no matter what happens at the start of the round, when Kanon's turn comes, he will have enough energy to use at least one of these. That's insane. The last condition on the skill is that the additional attacks will lose a little bit of Cosmo damage with each subsequent one. That reduction is 30% per attack, but it only affects the Cosmo attack. The true damage remains the same, meaning that whatever we have here, if it's 100% damage multiplier on the true damage, all of the additional attacks from the shadow will have that same damage. Lastly, we have a Heart Reborn Seal, which is another passive, and this one gives Kanon stacks of determination when his allies die. It starts at only 2 stacks per dead ally, goes up to 3, 4, and a maximum of 6. It also prevents Kanon from being one-shot. This thing is like having Rising Dragon Teeth Cosmo equipped. When Kanon receives a fatal hit, he will not die. He will recover a certain amount of HP, and that recovery can increase depending on how much determination we have. Because it's not an actual death, it just saves him from dying. He will not lose any of the buffs he has, but he won't lose any of the debuffs either. If he's in a control state, for example in Hypno's Nightmare, he will save himself, but he will remain in that nightmare. It's very different from when somebody dies and comes back as a ghost with Hades skills. In that case, the character does die completely and then comes back. So the skills are not very complicated, like I mentioned at the start. He has a big attack, then he has a shadow that will repeat that attack, and he can also save himself from death. He also generates energy. Now let's talk about skill ups, and this is where it gets a little bit complicated. We're gonna break it into basic and ultra. For a basic Kanon, skill 1 can remain at level 1. This is a skill we're not going to be using too often, especially because he generates his own energy, and on round 2 we should have enough energy to use this skill even without that generation. So skill 1 is not going to be used a lot. You can leave it at 1 for a basic cannon. Skill 2. Now we're going to start spending tomes. There are 2 crucial levels, and those are going to be level 2 and level 4. That's because at level 2 we go up to 2 stacks, and at level 4 we go up to 3 stacks. Level 3 and level 5 only increase the multiplier. A super ultra basic cannon can be at level 2, but realistically, if you want to get good use out of him, you're going to want him at least at 4. This gets you a much higher multiplier and also 3 stacks of determination every time you use the attack. Skill 3 is another tome hog. This thing we will want to have at level 5. Not so much for the additional attacks, because really if we get to 4 additional attacks we probably already won the fight. It's because of the energy generation. Being able to generate enough energy to use your big attack without anybody's help is amazing. You can use all the energy at the beginning of the round, or you can save for a double turn with Hashun later, or whatever the heck you want. Kanon is self-sufficient, at least in that first round. And that might be something I forgot to mention. This energy generation only happens once in the battle, because it happens when the shadow is created. That happens automatically in the first round, and then the shadow stays for the remainder of the battle. So we only generate energy once. Skill 4 is a great skill to have. It gives you a ton of determination, it can save you from death, but it's not essential for a basic cannon. If you're gonna go with a basic cannon, just try to not get your team killed, try to not get him killed, and then this thing will never even activate. Basic cannon then would be 1, 4, 5, 1. That's a total of 16 tomes. Now let's look at the ultra cannon, the cannon of the gods, the one that's really gonna get the job done. For that ultra cannon, we're gonna want skill 1 at least on level 3. This is in case we get silence or we don't have enough energy to use the second skill after round 2. Having this one on level 3 gets us a little bit more multiplier, which is not amazing, but it lets us start stacking determination, which is hugely important in him. You're gonna see in the demonstration how the damage changes. The second skill we recommended at 4 for a basic cannon, and for an ultra cannon we're gonna take it to 5. Now that does seem a little bit wasteful because all we get is an additional multiplier, but that true damage, guys, makes a huge difference. Being able to ignore the enemy's defense goes a long way. Skill 3 we already took to level 5 for a basic cannon, so that's where it's gonna stay for an ultra one, and skill 4 we're gonna want to take to level 3. This gets us 4 stacks of determination for every dead ally, but it also increases the amount that we recover when we save ourselves from death. I'm not gonna tell you that levels 4 and 5 are not amazing. If you have the resources, definitely go for it, but that's gonna be a matter of personal taste. Like we said, if you have an amazing lineup and your saints don't even die, then this thing will never activate. An ultra cannon, very good cannon, super functional, fight winning cannon is gonna be 3, 5, 5, 3. That's a total of 26 tomes, and the level I'm probably gonna leave him at. Those levels also get you all the rewards from the training event. In 8 cents, it's been a while since we got a character that was not used in PvP, so we're gonna want to open all the areas to the max level. I would personally start with Alpha, which gives us Cosmo attack and speed, then Gamma, which gives us Cosmo attack and Cosmo damage, Beta, which gives us HP and lifesteal to keep ourselves alive a little bit longer, and finally Delta with HP and damage resistance. His Cosmo is fortunately not very complicated either. He is an attacker. We want him to do the maximum amount of damage, and for that we're going to look for Rosary in the red Cosmo. Although if you're starting and you don't have Rosary yet, Eagle Eye is a decent option. In Lunar we can use basically any Cosmo set that's not Seiya or Jade Light. As long as it has the sub-attributes that we're looking for, then it'll work fine. Now, in his case, we mentioned already that Mew can target him. Mew doesn't care if he's hidden. For that reason, Bloom with Cosmo Defense and Spirit Print with Cosmo Defense and Cosmo Damage Resistance go on him a little bit better than on other Saints. It at least helps us counter a little bit of that weakness. In Star, we have 2 choices. New Moon is going to give us the biggest speed boost, and Hummingbird is going to increase our attack. Which one you use is going to depend on the sub-attributes you find in the other Cosmo. If you have a lot of attack substats, you can use New Moon here, whereas if you have a lot of speed substats, you can go with Hummingbird. Nether is not an option in this case because the loss in speed is just too great. We want Kanon to be fast, to attack, and to hide as soon as possible at the start of the battle. In Legendary, we have 2 main options. I'm going to give you the advantages and disadvantages of each. First, we have Equinox Flower, which is the Cosmo that I've gone with, and I think most people are going with. This thing has a main attribute of speed, which is perfect for Kanon, but it also increases the attack of summoned units. That shadow that he summons at the start of the battle benefits from this attack boost. The downside is that Kanon does not. The attack boost only applies to the shadow, not the main character. The other decent option is Book of the Dead, which gives us a big HP boost, although in his case, because he's hidden, that's not really super duper important, but it does increase our Cosmo attack when allies die. Now, we already have a mechanic that gives us a boost when an ally dies. This further increases that boost. It raises our Cosmo attack, it also heals us, and it can also gives us a shield. The downside being that this Cosmo attack boost only applies to Kanon, not the shadow. And if we're fighting Mew specifically, having that shield on us is actually detrimental. Mew has an additional multiplier when a unit is protected. If we get the shield and there's a Mew in the other team, he's gonna annihilate us in a move or 2. I think Equinox Flower is the superior choice because although the attack boost doesn't apply to Kanon, it's actually the shadow that's gonna be doing all those additional attacks. The majority of the damage is going to be coming from him. In sub-attributes, we're going to be looking primarily for speed. That is the #1 concern with Kanon. Then we're going to want Cosmo attack and Cosmo damage. damage. Almost everything else on him is irrelevant. He doesn't need status hit, he doesn't apply any debuffs, and he's hidden most of the time. He's only going to be taking damage from AoE attacks. So although HP and defense and resistance are always good stats to have, even on your attackers, on him it's really not that important. Go as fast as you can and hit as hard as you can. And now teams, which is another difficult subject with Kanon because he really fits in almost anywhere. Remember that he generates enough energy for his own attack. So no matter where you put him, on that first round, he's gonna be able to do damage. And then he hides himself and he keeps killing people afterwards. Some specific combinations are, for example, with Luna. We can make a really fast Luna, give Kanon a double turn, and we have some energy generation there in between. We can attack twice with Kanon, start stacking that determination, and have enough energy left over for one more unit to use one. That can be a double turn for Hashun, or a heal at the end of the turn, or whatever the heck you want. Going back to his weakness against Mew, it would not be a terrible idea to try to protect him somehow. Just in case the battle does get to that point, Mew comes out of the cocoon and can now target him. Divine Shiryu can do an awesome job protecting him, and Divine Shun can completely cancel any damage that the Mew would do. Allies that generate shields, like for example Mu and Xion, are not recommended in this case, again, because of that additional multiplier that Mew gets. One thing we tested during the stream yesterday is how buffs affect Kanon and affect his shadow. Because remember, the shadow gets generated automatically at the start of the fight, it gets all the same stats that Kanon has, and then that's it. It doesn't go away, it is never reborn. So whatever stats he gets at the beginning of the battle, that's what he stays with. If you give Kanon an attack boost later, it will not affect the shadow. But if you're fast enough to give Kanon a boost before he moves, then he'll have that buff. When the shadow is generated, the shadow will get those stats with the buff, and he'll keep them for the remainder of the battle whether the buff is still there or not. That means Super Nachi is an option. He's fast enough to give Kanon a boost, and the shadow will get that buff the entire fight. And that's really it for specific units. Other than that, he goes well anywhere. One unit I wouldn't recommend pairing him with is June, because remember, he hides himself. They can't target him individually. If you connect him to the rest of the team with June's Vine, that means he's going to be taking some of that damage that the team is taking. He's better left alone, and if his teammates die, he gets even stronger. Moving on to his weaknesses, which I think is going to be a very important section, because if you don't get him, or you can't ban him, then you're going to have to find a way to deal with him. Individual saints that can counter him are Mew, although you have to wait for Mew to come out of the cocoon, so it's a matter of surviving against the Kanon team until this guy can come out and target him. Evil Saga is a very strong direct counter. Kanon uses energy to attack, and that will immediately cause a counter attack from Evil Saga, and because Kanon is not very squishy, his stats are actually pretty shit. It's a B in HP, B in physical defense, and B in Cosmo defense. A good Evil Saga may be able to proc his auto revive with the first attack and then finish him off with a second. Other ways to deal with him are with super fast control. Nero Priest, as always, is one of the best counters to really fast attackers. Her base speed is higher than Kanon, and she's always built super fast. Don't look at mine, mine has no Cosmo. If she silences Kanon before he moves, then yeah, the shadow will be generated, but if he can't use the attack, he can't hide. Also in the silence department, we have the regular Shaka that can't target Kanon individually, and his base speed is pretty shit, so it's going to be hard to make him faster than Kanon, but he can silence the unit next to Kanon and place the energy consumption debuff on him. That means he won't be able to use his skill that takes 3 energy, and he won't be able to hide himself. Hypnos is a really strong counter as well, because he's also extremely fast, and if you can get Kanon in the Nightmare before he moves, he will continue to take damage even if it's hidden. If you use the damage on Hypnos, then you will proc the auto revive passive, and even then, the damage will still keep applying every time an ally moves. That Kanon will most likely be dead by round 2. Another fast type of control is the combination of Ichi with Minos, which is actually already a pretty popular team. If you control Kanon, again, you don't let him use his skill and he can't hide. The other type of control that can affect him is AoE control, but I think in that department we only have the Ice Boys. Yoga can freeze AoE, so that means he doesn't have to target Kanon individually, he can freeze with his AoE attack, and then the Black Cygnus also has an AoE that can extend that freeze and just pretty much completely destroy Kanon. His last weakness is going to be tankiness, just straight up tankiness. I tested him a lot in Arena yesterday, and he has a really hard time killing teams that have June, Hashun, and Divine Dragon. June is going to distribute his damage, Kanon is an individual attacker. Because he's fast, then Hashun is going to have his healing active when Kanon attacks, that's going to cancel out some of the damage, and the damage reduction from Divine Shiryu is also really strong. With those 3 factors combined, the rest of the enemy team can just work on you slowly, so I found that he's actually not a great arena unit because a lot of people are running that combination. June, Shiryu, Hashun, and then 3 other random units. His uses in the game are going to be pretty much anywhere. His damage is outrageous, so he's a unit that can take enemies out in PvP, but he's also very useful in PvE, whether it's for Athena Trial, Hades Temples, Legion Boss, Legion Dungeon, clearing really difficult levels, like for example the last fight in the Camus Tome, the final bosses of Astral Space and Shrine. This guy makes all of those things a breeze. Before we move on to the demonstration, I'm going to tell you a couple of things that we discovered in testing yesterday. The first one is with the chicken. If the chicken has Kanon focused and Kanon uses his attack, then he hides himself and the chicken will change focus. It's just like Aphrodite's shyness. Algol is a decent counter because after Kanon attacks the first time, Algol will counter and petrify him. Now that doesn't stop the shadow, but it does stop stop Kanon from using his big skill on the second round. If he can't use the big skill, then he can't hide himself and he'll be vulnerable to your attacks. Katya's anti-revive passive sadly does not apply because Kanon doesn't die. That's why I mentioned it earlier. It's not that he dies and comes back to life, it's that he prevents his death, so he doesn't technically need to revive. Units that can redirect his attack are not as effective here because he can redirect Kanon's attack, but the ghost will still attack the initial unit that we click. This applies to the Golden Cygnus Cross and also to Cassius's protection, which is really sad because it would have been fun to counter Kanon with Cassius. And that's it for now. I'm sure we're gonna find a lot of interesting mechanics. Anytime we have a passive in the game that does a lot of stuff, it will interact in strange ways with other passives. Now we're gonna look at a demonstration in Arena. I have actually in 2 days not been able to use him in Galactic Duel because I've been so busy with stream. So we're gonna check him out in Arena, and I'm gonna do my best to find a team without June. That way we can see how explosive his damage can really be. This is the team we're going to be using, and we're going to go super aggressive. A super fast Luna to give him a double turn and attack twice, start getting determination. Hashun is going to be there for some sort of automatic heals, and also to give double turn to Milo or to Mew if it comes to that. Alright, I found a team here without June. It does have Divine Shiryu, but that's okay. I think we can deal him with enough damage. But it doesn't have June, so we have the chance of seeing somebody die, and then the Shadow automatically killing other units in the enemy team. We'll see if we can make it work, though I'm really hoping this Doko doesn't kill me in round 2. Alright, here we go then. And the first order of business is I am going to try to take out this shooter turn 1. Okay, Kanon is fast enough to do that. Let me give him a double turn. I'm gonna generate some extra energy so I can attack twice and have some energy left over for a double turn from Hashun. As you can see there, automatically at the beginning of the turn, without me selecting any skills, he generates the shadow. The next thing you'll notice is that when I use this attack, I'm gonna go into hiding, and I'm also going to acquire 3 stacks of determination. That's because I have mine skilled up at this point. Alright, we're gonna go in this one. We're gonna do 1 attack, and the shadow is gonna attack again. As well. Boom. And it might be enough to one-shot him. Okay, I have to be honest that I did not expect that. Okay, I did not expect that to happen. What the heck do we do now? We kill this guy. So we have 3 determination. With this second attack, we're gonna acquire 3 more determination. Meaning, in round 2, the shadow, our shadow, is going to attack 1 extra time. And I don't know if you were able to notice there, but anything that the shadow does that returns damage, whether that's reflect or a counter attack from Divine Shiryu, it does no damage to the shadow. The shadow doesn't care. The shadow can't be targeted. You want to provoke me? Alright, fine. Boom, take 1. Oh, he didn't let me use Ares though. No, I have a second turn. I am going to Ares this guy. Just in case we can't kill them before that Doko gets enough stacks. I'm gonna Ares that guy. Alright. This guy is dead thanks to the ghost. Thank you, little ghost. And now we're left with a Shiryu protecting Kiki and Doko, which has 4 stacks. And he will have more than enough energy to dragonize me on round 2. The good thing is he cannot target my cannon because he's hidden. I'm gonna start to come out of my cocoon here because all of a sudden I'm a little bit worried. It's going to be really hard to kill this Doko through all the protection from Shiryu. Now, in the second turn, we don't generate energy anymore, right? So we have a maximum of 6, we can do 2 attacks, but we can't do a double turn with Hashun. Let's see if we can still do this. I'm actually very scared of this Doko right now. We go 1 boom, and the Shadow's gonna attack twice, 2, and now we can do it again. But we haven't reached 10. If we reach 10, he attacks 3 times. Alright, so we go boom once, the Shadow's gonna go boom twice, and is it enough? Is it enough? It's enough, guys. A Doko through Shiryu's protection was just taken out on round 2 by Kanon alone. That's stupid. Okay? That is a stupid level of damage. Now, unfortunately, this Shiryu is about to counter me like 3 times. 1. Oh shit! Okay, we need to kill this guy. Now, one thing that I'm glad I'm gonna be able to point out here is that I still haven't come out of my cocoon. Are you serious, bro? Are you actually serious? Alright, I'm gonna give Kanon 1 more double turn. But this is really dangerous. This is a Shiryu with 8 stacks now. But notice, when I attack him, he's gonna counter attack me once and do damage. I hope I can survive it. And then he's gonna counter attack the Shadow, and it'll do no damage. No matter how many times we hit him, it'll do no damage to the Shadow. I have a lot of attacks. I'm kind of hoping I can kill it here, or we're really screwed. Fortunately, it's Cosmo attack, so it... Oh! Okay, here goes the Shadow. Right? Oh, we're not gonna see the counter attack because we killed him. And we killed him, so we attack somebody else. And now look at this. We attack this guy, we finish him off with probably the second attack, and now we're gonna kill Kiki too. Stupid. This unit is stupid, guys. Holy shit. that felt abusive. Now, I did purposely pick a team without Junis, so we didn't have that damage distribution, and you could see how after killing one, the Shadow's just gonna keep killing enemies until they're all gone. Gemini Kanon is a ridiculously strong unit. The hype surrounding him for the last couple of months is very fitting. I'm glad I got him. I'm also glad that they don't allow you to ban him for the 2 weeks that his banner lasts. That means that if you get him, you're gonna get to enjoy him a little bit before he's undoubtedly banned forever. Good luck to everybody that's summoning for him. I will remind you one more time that doing 40 daily is the best strategy to maximize the number of shards that you can get. It's really hard to do though, because if you don't get him quickly, you won't be able to enjoy him in Galactic Duel. I'm gonna leave you guys for today. We'll be back tomorrow, probably with the summoning session where we got him. If you haven't already, please remember to hit like, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell, and I'll see you guys again very soon. Bye!